The sun was just beginning to set over the small town when Aman decided to take a different route home from school. He usually walked along the main road where shops and houses were busy and noisy, but today he felt like exploring a little. His curiosity had always been strong, and he liked seeing places others avoided. At the edge of the town, hidden behind tall trees and overgrown bushes, was a large mansion. Most people in the town avoided it. Children whispered stories about ghosts, hidden treasures, and families who had mysteriously disappeared. A man in the town once said the mansion belonged to a rich family who had vanished years ago. The gates had been locked and rusted for a long time. Today, however, Aman noticed that one side of the iron gate was slightly open. He stopped for a moment, looking at the broken path leading to the house. The garden was wild, with tall grass, bushes, and flowers growing wherever they wanted. The wind moved the branches slowly, making soft sounds. Aman felt a strange mixture of fear and excitement. He had always wondered what was inside the mansion, but he never dared to go close. Today, with the gates slightly open, it felt like the house itself was inviting him to enter. Aman carefully pushed the gate and stepped inside. The ground beneath his shoes was soft with moss and fallen leaves. The mansion stood tall and silent, looking proud even though years had passed without anyone living there. The windows were large and slightly dusty, reflecting the colors of the evening sky. The doors were carved with patterns of flowers and shapes that told stories of old. Aman felt small in front of this giant house. He walked slowly, noticing every detail. The walls were strong, the roof high, and even though the place looked abandoned, it still held a sense of beauty and mystery. As he moved closer to the side of the mansion, something shiny caught his eye. At first, he thought it was just a reflection of the sun on broken glass or an old metal piece. When he got closer, he froze. There, hidden among the overgrown bushes and fallen leaves, was a car. Not just any car. It was low, sharp, and looked fast, even though it was covered in dust. Aman bent down and wiped some of the dirt from the hood. His heart began to beat faster. He could not believe his eyes. It was a Lamborghini Huracán, a car he had only seen in magazines and videos online. The car looked like it had been parked there only yesterday. The paint, although covered in dust, still had a shine. The tires were firm, and the body had no scratches. Aman could not understand how such an expensive car could be left in an abandoned mansion. He walked around it slowly, looking at every detail. The doors were closed, the windows intact, and the interior, visible through the glass, looked clean. The leather seats had no tears, the dashboard was perfect, and even the steering wheel looked new. Aman took a deep breath and tried the door handle carefully. To his shock, it opened. He could not believe it. The car was real, untouched, and completely functional. There was no key, but everything else inside looked ready for someone to drive. Aman stepped back, his mind racing. How could this be? Why would someone leave such an amazing car here? The questions ran through his mind, but he knew he had to find answers. He decided to explore the mansion. The front door was slightly open, so he pushed it gently. Inside, the air was thick and still. Dust hung in the sunlight coming through the windows. Furniture covered in white sheets stood silently in every room. Old paintings and family portraits hung on the walls. They showed a man, a woman, and a young boy, all smiling happily. It was a family that looked ordinary and kind. Aman felt a little sad. It was as if the house had been frozen in time, waiting for someone to return. He walked carefully, noticing papers scattered on a desk in the study. The papers were old but readable. They contained business documents, bank statements, and letters. Some letters talked about threats, others about sudden changes in life. Aman realized that this family had not left because they wanted to. Something had forced them to go. The mansion was not abandoned by choice. It was left behind in a hurry, and the Lamborghini had been part of their life. Aman felt a strange mix of excitement and fear. He had never experienced something like this. He thought about the stories of treasure and ghosts, but what he saw was more real, more dangerous, and more exciting. He wondered if someone might return. The thought made him nervous. What if the family came back or someone else was looking for the car? He looked again at the Lamborghini. It was beautiful and perfect, shining under the soft light of the evening. He could imagine driving it, feeling the speed, the power, and the freedom. But Amon knew it was not his. This car belonged to someone, and it had been left behind for a reason. He stepped back, realizing he had to be careful. The mansion had more rooms, and Amon wanted to see them all. He moved through the hallways slowly, stepping over broken floorboards and avoiding sharp edges. He discovered a library full of old books. Some were dusty, some were torn, but all were full of knowledge and stories. He could not resist picking up one and flipping through the pages. There were notes written in the margins, secrets of the family, and letters of advice. It felt like he was entering their world, a world that had been hidden for years. As the sun went lower, the shadows grew long. The mansion became darker, but Amon's curiosity did not fade. He wanted to understand why such a car and a beautiful house were left behind. The questions were too many, but he knew the answers were here, somewhere inside. Suddenly, a sound came from outside. It was soft, like footsteps on gravel. Amon froze. His heart raced. He was not alone. He looked through a window and saw the trees moving, the bushes shaking. He thought about running, but something told him to stay quiet. The mansion seemed alive, holding secrets that were not ready to be told yet. Amon decided to hide behind a column. He peeked carefully, trying to see who or what was outside. Nothing appeared, and the sound faded. His fear turned into determination. He realized he had discovered something incredible. This was not just an abandoned mansion. It was a story frozen in time, waiting for someone brave enough to explore it. Amon took one last look at the Lamborghini and whispered to himself. Tomorrow he would return. He would bring someone he trusted, someone who could help him understand the mystery of the car and the family who had left everything behind. Amon felt excited, nervous, and alive. He knew that today was only the beginning. The mansion and the Lamborghini had chosen him to uncover their story, and he could not wait to find out what happened. With a final glance at the mansion, Amon stepped back through the gate. The sun was almost gone, and the sky was painted with shades of orange and pink. He walked home slowly, thinking about what he had seen. He could still feel the car's power, the mansion's silence, and the mystery that surrounded them both. Tomorrow would be another adventure, but tonight, he would dream of secrets waiting to be revealed, and a Lamborghini Huracan that was more than just a car. The next morning, Amon could not stop thinking about the mansion and the Lamborghini Huracan. Even during breakfast, he kept looking out of the window, imagining the car shining under the sunlight and the mystery hidden inside the old house. He knew he could not explore it alone again. He needed a friend, someone he could trust and who understood his excitement. Amon thought of Ravi, his best friend, who loved cars and adventures as much as he did. Ravi was clever, brave, and always ready for new experiences. Amon picked up his phone and called him. Ravi answered after a few rings, his voice full of curiosity. Amon quickly told him about the mansion, the abandoned car, and the strange things he had seen inside. Ravi listened silently, and when Amon finished, he shouted in excitement. "We have to see it. This could be the adventure of our lives." Amon laughed and agreed. They made a plan to meet at the mansion after school. That afternoon, Amon and Ravi walked together toward the hidden mansion. The gate was still slightly open, and the mansion looked even more mysterious in the soft afternoon light. The garden was filled with shadows from the tall trees, and the air smelled of wet earth and old leaves. Both boys felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. They moved slowly, careful not to make any noise that could reveal their presence. When they reached the side where the Lamborghini was parked, Ravi stopped and gasped. The car was even more impressive up close. The paint glistened despite the thin layer of dust, the curves of the body looked sharp and elegant, and the tires seemed ready to roll at any moment. Ravi walked around the car, touching the edges gently and inspecting every detail. "This is unbelievable," he said. "I have seen expensive cars before, but nothing like this. It looks brand new." Amon nodded, feeling the same amazement. The boys decided to explore the mansion together. They opened the front door, which creaked slightly, but the mansion itself did not seem alive with anyone inside. The hall was large, with high ceilings and old chandeliers hanging above them. Dust danced in the sunlight coming through tall windows. Aman and Ravi moved carefully, stepping over broken tiles and old carpets. Every room was full of mystery. There were chairs and tables covered in white sheets, bookshelves full of old books, and portraits of the family who once lived there. The portraits showed a man, a woman, and a young boy, smiling and happy. The boys felt as if the family had left suddenly, leaving everything behind. In the study, Aman and Ravi found a desk covered in papers. They began to look through the documents. Some were business letters, some were bank statements, and some were personal notes. The papers spoke of warnings, sudden changes in plans, and careful decisions. One letter mentioned that the family had to leave their home quickly for safety. Aman and Ravi looked at each other, realizing that the mansion had not been abandoned by choice. The family had disappeared, and the Lamborghini had been left behind because they had no time to take it. Ravi, who loved cars, could not resist looking inside the Lamborghini again. He tried opening the glove compartment and checking the dashboard. "It is perfect," he said. "Everything is working. Whoever left it wanted it to stay safe." Aman nodded. They both felt a mixture of respect and curiosity. This car was not just a machine. It was a part of someone's life, left behind because safety was more important than wealth. As the boys explored further, they found more clues about the family. In one room, there was an old phone hidden under a pile of newspapers. The phone still worked, though the battery was low. They carefully checked it and found messages from years ago. Some messages were warnings. Others were about urgent plans to leave the town. The last messages were short and serious, telling the family to disappear and avoid danger. Aman and Ravi realized that the family had made a difficult choice. They had left everything behind, including their beloved Lamborghini, to protect themselves. Outside, the wind began to blow stronger. The trees moved and the branches scraped the walls of the mansion. Aman felt a shiver, but he knew he had to keep exploring. They decided to check the garage and the backside of the house. The garage was empty, except for some old tools and boxes. There was no sign of anyone returning. The mansion was silent, but it felt alive with memories. Each corner, each room, and each object told a story of the family who had once lived there. Suddenly, Ravi pointed toward the gate. "Look," he whispered. Aman followed his gaze and saw movement near the edge of the garden. A shadow moved quickly, almost disappearing behind a tree. The boys froze, their hearts beating fast. They did not know if it was a person or just an animal. Aman whispered, "Stay quiet. Let's see who it is." They crouched behind a broken wall and watched carefully. After a few minutes, the shadow disappeared. Aman and Ravi looked at each other, realizing that someone might still be looking for the mansion or the car. The boys decided it was safer to leave before anyone else appeared. They walked quietly back through the garden, taking one last look at the Lamborghini. It seemed to shine in the afternoon sun, untouched and perfect. Aman and Ravi knew that what they had discovered was special. It was not just a car or an abandoned house. It was a story frozen in time, a mystery waiting for the right people to uncover it. On their way home, Aman and Ravi talked excitedly. They discussed the car, the mansion, and the family. They made a plan to return the next day with more tools and notebooks to take notes. They wanted to understand the entire story, piece by piece. The adventure had only just begun, and both boys felt alive with curiosity and excitement. That night, Aman could not sleep. He kept thinking about the Lamborghini and the mansion. He imagined the family, running away in fear, leaving behind their home and car. He imagined the conversations, the warnings, and the choices they had to make. Every thought made the mystery more real, more exciting, and more important. Aman knew that he and Ravi were part of this story now. They had discovered something incredible, and it was their responsibility to understand it and protect it. The next morning, Aman woke up early. He packed a small bag with a flashlight, a notebook, and a pen. He wanted to record everything they saw and found. When Ravi arrived, they shared their plan. Today, they would explore the mansion carefully, room by room, and try to find more clues about the family and why the Lamborghini had been left behind. Both boys were nervous but ready. As they walked toward the mansion again, the sun was rising, painting the sky with soft orange and pink colors. The mansion looked peaceful in the morning light, but Aman and Ravi knew it held secrets. They moved through the gate silently, careful not to disturb anything. The adventure awaited them, and both boys felt a mix of excitement and fear. They knew that the story of the Lamborghini Huracán and the abandoned mansion was far from over. Aman stopped for a moment, looking at the car. It was still there, shining under the sun. He smiled and whispered to Ravi, "We have to be careful, but this is going to be amazing." Ravi nodded, his eyes wide with excitement. Together they stepped closer, ready to uncover more secrets hidden inside the mysterious mansion. The mansion looked different in the soft morning light. Shadows from the trees stretched across the walls, and the broken iron gate creaked slightly in the wind. Aman and Ravi moved slowly, careful not to make any noise. The Lamborghini Huracán stood in its usual place, shining under the early sun. It looked almost magical, as if it had been waiting for someone to notice it. Both boys felt excitement and a little nervousness. The mansion was not only abandoned, it was full of secrets, and they had only just begun to discover them. Aman led the way to the front door, and Ravi followed closely. The wooden door was heavy but opened with a soft push. Inside, the air smelled old but clean, as if someone had cared for the house before leaving. Dust floated in the sunlight, moving slowly like tiny golden sparks. The boys walked carefully through the large hall. High ceilings, old chandeliers, and portraits of the family gave the mansion a silent and grand feeling. Each step they took echoed softly across the empty rooms. They decided to explore the east wing first. This part of the mansion had smaller rooms, which seemed to be used as bedrooms and studies. In one room, they found old clothes hanging in a wardrobe, still neatly folded. The colors had faded slightly, but the fabrics looked well preserved. Aman picked up a small toy car from the floor. It was dusty and old, but it reminded him of how the young boy in the family might have played. Ravi smiled, imagining the child racing toy cars across this very room years ago. In the next room, the boys found a small diary. Aman opened it carefully. The pages were yellowed, but the handwriting was clear. It was the diary of the young boy in the family. He had written about school, friends, and dreams of becoming a driver when he grew older. One entry caught their attention. It spoke about the Lamborghini, how much he loved cars, and how he hoped one day he could sit inside a real race car. Aman and Ravi exchanged looks. The diary made the Lamborghini even more special. It was not just a car. It was a dream left behind, frozen in time. After finishing the east wing, they moved toward the west wing. This part of the mansion looked more serious. There were maps, letters, and old telephones on desks. Aman picked up a letter that had been forgotten on a chair. It was addressed to the man of the house. The letter warned him about some urgent matters and suggested leaving the town immediately for safety. Aman read the words aloud to Ravi. It says they must leave everything behind, including their car, and not come back until it is safe. Ravi nodded, feeling the tension in the message. The family had left not because they wanted to, but because they had to. Suddenly, Ravi noticed movement outside one of the windows. He pointed toward the garden. Aman froze. A shadow moved near the broken wall at the edge of the property. Both boys crouched behind a large column and watched carefully. A tall man appeared, looking around as if searching for something. He walked slowly, checking the area near the Lamborghini. Aman's heart beat faster. They did not know if this man belonged to the family, or if he was someone else looking for the car. The stranger's movements were calm but careful. The man left after a few minutes, walking quickly toward the gate. Aman and Ravi waited until he disappeared completely. They looked at each other, their eyes wide. "That was close," Aman whispered. Ravi nodded. "We have to be careful. Someone might still be watching this place." The mansion, which had seemed peaceful moments ago, now felt alive with danger and mystery. The boys realized that their adventure had become more serious than they had expected. After waiting for a while, Aman suggested they continue exploring inside. They moved toward the basement. The entrance was hidden behind a large bookshelf. Aman pushed it gently, and it swung open, revealing a staircase leading downward. The air smelled cooler and older as they descended. The basement was large, with shelves full of boxes, old furniture, and other hidden items. Some boxes were labeled, some were not. Ravi carefully opened one box and found old trophies, photographs, and small souvenirs. The family had left quickly, but they had taken some of their most valuable memories with them. Aman noticed a locked cabinet at the corner of the basement. It looked heavy and strong. He tried to open it, but it would not budge. Ravi examined it closely and said, "It is locked for a reason. Whatever is inside must be very important." Aman nodded. They decided to leave it for later, knowing that they might find the key somewhere else in the mansion. The locked cabinet added another layer of mystery to the place. After exploring the basement, the boys returned to the garden to check the Lamborghini again. The sunlight had shifted, and the car's paint reflected shades of orange and gold. Ravi examined the tires and the engine cover. "It is perfect," he said. "I cannot believe it stayed in such good condition for so long." Aman ran his hand over the hood, feeling the smooth surface. He wondered about the family who had left it behind. They had given up this incredible car to save themselves, and now it had become Aman and Ravi's responsibility to understand the story. They noticed something unusual near the back of the mansion. Small footprints in the soft soil led toward the nearby forest. The prints were fresh, not old like the mansion itself. Aman and Ravi exchanged worried looks. "Someone has been here recently," Aman said. "We are not the only ones discovering this place." Ravi agreed. "We have to be careful, but we also need to find out who the family was and why they had to leave everything behind." Both boys felt a mix of fear and excitement. The mansion was no longer just an adventure. It was a mystery they needed to solve. As the afternoon went on, the boys explored more rooms and found old photo albums. Each picture told a story. There were pictures of the family celebrating birthdays, enjoying holidays, and sitting together in the mansion. Aman noticed the young boy in the photos looked happy and proud. He imagined the excitement the boy must have felt when he saw the Lamborghini for the first time. Ravi pointed to a photograph of the man and woman standing in front of the mansion. "They look serious here. Maybe this was before they decided to leave everything behind," Ravi said. Aman nodded. "Yes. There is a story here. We just need to put all the pieces together." Before leaving, Aman and Ravi took one last look at the mansion and the Lamborghini. The sun was setting, casting long shadows across the garden. The mansion looked quiet, almost peaceful again, but the boys knew the mystery was far from over. Someone had been there recently, the family had left in a hurry, and the car had been untouched for years. Aman felt a mix of awe and responsibility. He knew they had discovered something incredible, but it was also dangerous. As they walked back toward the town, Aman and Ravi talked about their next steps. They decided to return the following day with more tools, notebooks, and cameras. They wanted to document everything and try to solve the mystery of the mansion and the Lamborghini. Both boys were excited, nervous, and determined. They knew that the adventure they had begun was bigger than anything they had imagined. That night, Aman could not sleep. He kept thinking about the mansion, the car, and the family. He imagined the stories hidden in the locked cabinet, the messages on the old phone, and the footprints near the forest. Every thought made the mystery more real. Aman knew that the next day would bring more discoveries, more challenges, and maybe even danger. But he also knew that he and Ravi were ready for it. The Lamborghini had become a symbol of the adventure, a connection to the family who had left everything behind. Aman understood that this story was not just about a car or an abandoned mansion. It was about courage, curiosity, and uncovering the truth. Tomorrow would be another day of exploration, but tonight, he dreamed of the secrets waiting to be revealed and the incredible story he and Ravi were a part of. The next morning, Aman woke up early, his mind full of thoughts about the mansion and the Lamborghini Huracan. He could still see it in his imagination, shining under the sun, waiting for someone to discover its secrets. He quickly got ready and packed a small backpack with a flashlight, a notebook, and a pen. He wanted to take notes this time, to remember every detail and every clue they found. As he walked toward the school, he thought about Ravi, who would meet him after classes. Today, they would explore the mansion more carefully and try to understand the family's story in detail. After school, Aman met Ravi at their usual spot near the gate of the hidden mansion. Ravi had brought a small camera and a bag with tools, just in case they needed to examine something closely. Both boys felt a mix of excitement and nervousness as they walked toward the mansion together. The gate was slightly open, just as before, and the tall grass swayed in the afternoon breeze. The mansion looked calm, but both boys knew it held many secrets that were waiting to be discovered. The Lamborghini was the first thing they checked. It looked the same as yesterday, perfect and untouchable, as if time had stopped around it. Ravi ran his hands along the smooth surface of the car, amazed at how well it had been preserved. "It is like someone wanted to protect it," he said quietly. Aman nodded. "Yes. Someone left it here on purpose. Maybe they hoped it would stay safe until it could be returned." Both boys stood silently for a moment, thinking about the family and the decisions they must have made to leave such a car behind. They decided to explore the mansion in a more organized way today. Aman suggested they start with the West Wing again, where they had found maps, letters, and telephones the day before. As they moved through the hallways, Aman noticed small scratches on the walls, marks that seemed too fresh to be old. He pointed them out to Ravi. "Someone has been here recently," he whispered. Ravi nodded. "We have to be careful, but we also need to find out why the family left everything behind." Both boys felt a mix of fear and determination. In one of the rooms, they found more letters hidden inside a drawer. The letters were written by the man of the house, addressed to his business partners. Some letters talked about urgent matters, money, and agreements, but others were more personal. One letter mentioned the family's decision to leave the mansion quickly and explained that the Lamborghini had been too difficult to move safely. Aman and Ravi read every word carefully. They realized that the family had made a choice between safety and wealth, and they had chosen safety without hesitation. Ravi examined the Lamborghini again, this time opening the hood to check the engine. "Everything looks perfect," he said. "It is ready to drive, but it is still here. Someone wanted to make sure it was safe." Aman nodded, feeling respect for the family's decision. He understood that the car was not just a machine. It was a symbol of the life they had left behind. Every detail in the mansion, every document, and every object told a story about the people who had once lived there. As they explored, they found a small locked cabinet in the basement, which had puzzled them before. Aman remembered it and suggested they look for the key. They searched the nearby rooms carefully. In the library, Ravi noticed a small key hidden inside an old book. It was dusty and almost invisible. He picked it up and showed it to Aman. "This might be it," he said. They returned to the basement and carefully unlocked the cabinet. Inside, they found several items: old photographs, letters, and a small safe. The photographs showed the family celebrating birthdays, traveling, and spending time together. The letters were personal notes, telling stories of their daily life and the challenges they faced. Aman and Ravi felt like they were holding the past in their hands. They could almost hear the voices of the family, feel their happiness, and understand the urgency of the day they had left. The small safe was the most intriguing part. It was locked with a combination, and the boys had no idea what was inside. Aman suggested they keep it for later and focus on the other clues first. The mystery of the safe added another layer to the story. Whoever had lived in this mansion had left so many questions behind, and the boys felt both excited and responsible for finding the answers. As they continued exploring, they decided to check the garden and the back of the mansion more carefully. The footprints they had noticed before were still visible, leading toward the forest behind the property. Aman and Ravi followed them cautiously. The footprints seemed fresh, not old like the mansion itself. Aman whispered, "Someone has been here recently. Maybe they are looking for the Lamborghini or something else in the mansion." Ravi nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and excitement. The boys stopped at the edge of the forest. The footprints disappeared into the trees, leaving no further clues. Aman and Ravi decided it was safer to return to the mansion and plan their next step. They walked back carefully, checking the surroundings for any signs of the stranger who had visited before. The mansion was quiet, almost peaceful again, but both boys knew that someone might still be watching. Back in the mansion, Aman and Ravi sat near the Lamborghini and discussed their discoveries. They realized that the family had left in a hurry, had taken only the most important items, and had hidden other objects in the mansion. They also understood that the car was protected, not abandoned, and that it was a part of the family story. Aman felt proud of their progress. They had uncovered clues, read letters, and found photographs that helped them understand the life of the people who had once lived there. As the afternoon turned into evening, the boys decided to leave. They carefully closed the mansion doors, making sure everything was as they had found it. Aman looked at the Lamborghini one last time. "It is amazing," he said. "Not just because it is a car, but because of the story behind it." Ravi nodded. "Yes. We need to learn more. Tomorrow, we should explore more rooms and try to find the combination to the safe." Both boys felt excited. The adventure was far from over. Walking home, Aman and Ravi talked about the family and their decisions. They imagined the challenges the family faced, the urgency of leaving, and the courage it must have taken to abandon their home and possessions for safety. The mansion and the Lamborghini were no longer just objects. They were pieces of a story waiting to be completed. Aman felt proud to be part of it. That night, Aman could not sleep. He thought about the mansion, the Lamborghini, the letters, and the safe. Every detail added to the mystery. He imagined the family's life, the challenges they faced, and the choices they made. Aman knew that he and Ravi were discovering something extraordinary, something that needed care, respect, and curiosity. The Lamborghini was not just a car, it was a connection to a family's past, a symbol of their courage, and a key to a story waiting to be revealed. Tomorrow, Aman and Ravi would return to the mansion. They would continue their exploration, find the combination to the safe, and uncover more secrets. They knew it would not be easy. The footprints, the stranger, and the locked safe made the adventure even more thrilling. Both boys felt ready for the challenge. The mansion and the Lamborghini had chosen them to uncover the story, and they would not let it be forgotten. The next morning, Aman woke up feeling excited and nervous at the same time. Today, he and Ravi planned to explore the mansion fully and solve the last part of the mystery. The small locked safe they had found in the basement was waiting for them, and Aman was eager to find out what was inside. He quickly packed his backpack with a flashlight, a notebook, a pen, and a small camera to record everything. He thought about the Lamborghini, shining in the garden, waiting quietly as if it knew they were returning. Ravi arrived shortly after Aman, and both boys walked toward the mansion together. The sun was just rising, casting soft golden light over the garden and the old iron gate. The mansion looked calm and quiet, but both boys knew it held many secrets. They carefully pushed open the front door and entered the hall. Dust floated in the sunlight, and the floor creaked under their footsteps. Every room they passed reminded them of the life the family had lived here. The mansion was no longer just a building. It was a story waiting to be completed. They decided to start in the basement. The locked safe had been bothering them for days, and today they were determined to open it. Aman remembered the letters they had found earlier, and he thought they might contain clues about the combination. They spread out the letters on a nearby table and read carefully. Some letters mentioned important dates, anniversaries, and numbers that were repeated several times. Ravi examined them closely. "I think these numbers could be the combination," he said. Aman nodded. They carefully tried the numbers on the safe. Click. The safe opened. Both boys froze in surprise and excitement. Inside, they found more photographs, letters, and a small envelope sealed with a sticker. Aman opened the envelope first and found a key. It was small but strong. Attached to the key was a note written in neat handwriting. It said, "This key is for the Lamborghini. It belongs to those who are honest and brave enough to discover the truth. Use it carefully." Aman and Ravi looked at each other, realizing how important this discovery was. The family had left the Lamborghini with a message of trust, waiting for someone who would respect their story. Ravi could not contain his excitement. "We should try it," he said. Aman agreed. They ran to the garden, holding the key carefully. The Lamborghini looked more beautiful than ever in the morning sun. Aman inserted the key into the ignition. To their amazement, the engine started perfectly. The car purred softly, as if it had been waiting for this moment. Both boys smiled, feeling a mix of thrill and respect. This was more than just a car. It was the link to a family's past, a symbol of courage, and a reward for their patience and honesty. After admiring the car, Aman and Ravi decided to explore the mansion one last time. They wanted to make sure they understood every part of the story. In the living room, they found old furniture, paintings, and a small box of letters. The letters told more about the family's life, their happiness, and the difficult decision to leave everything behind. Aman read one letter aloud. It said, "We leave our home, our car, and our treasures to stay safe. One day, someone who understands our story will find them. Please take care of everything." Both boys felt a sense of respect for the family. They had made a difficult choice, and now Aman and Ravi were trusted with their secret. As they walked through the hallways, Aman noticed something outside the window. The footprints near the forest were still there. They had not disappeared since the last visit. Aman and Ravi felt a little nervous. Someone might still be looking for the mansion or the Lamborghini. They decided to leave the main doors open slightly so that they could see if anyone approached. For now, they focused on finishing their exploration inside. In the library, they found books with small notes inside. The notes spoke about lessons in life, courage, and honesty. Aman read one aloud. "Life is not about what you have, but about the choices you make. Safety, honesty, and kindness are more valuable than gold or treasure." Ravi nodded, feeling inspired. They realized that the family had left more than a car or a mansion. They had left lessons, memories, and a story that would last forever. As the day went on, Aman and Ravi explored the garden carefully. They noticed small flowers growing along the path, the way the sunlight fell on the mansion walls, and the soft sound of the wind through the trees. The Lamborghini stood quietly, untouched and perfect. Aman touched the hood and said softly, "This car is amazing, but the story behind it is even more important." Ravi smiled. "Yes. We are lucky to be part of it." Both boys felt proud, knowing that their honesty, curiosity, and patience had been rewarded. Before leaving, they took photographs and notes of everything they had discovered. Aman wanted to remember each detail, every letter, and every photograph. Ravi recorded a short video of the mansion and the Lamborghini, capturing the story for the future. They knew that this adventure was special, not just because of the car or the mansion, but because of the story they had uncovered and the trust they had earned. As the sun began to set, Aman and Ravi prepared to leave. They looked at the mansion one last time. It was quiet, peaceful, and full of memories. The Lamborghini stood in the garden, a symbol of the family's courage and their choice to leave everything behind for safety. Aman felt a sense of closure. They had discovered the mystery, respected the family's wishes, and learned lessons that would stay with them forever. On their way home, Aman and Ravi talked about the adventure. They imagined the family's life, the choices they had made, and the courage it took to leave everything behind. Aman felt proud to have been part of this story. Ravi smiled, thinking about the Lamborghini, the mansion, and the lessons they had learned. The adventure had been exciting, but it had also taught them about respect, honesty, and the importance of making the right choices. That night, Aman could not sleep. He thought about the Lamborghini, the mansion, and the family who had left everything behind. He imagined the boy who had dreamed of the car, the parents who had protected their family, and the letters and photographs that told their story. Aman realized that the adventure was more than a discovery. It was a lesson, a connection to the past, and a memory that would stay with him forever. The next day, Aman and Ravi returned to the mansion once more. They left the Lamborghini as it was, knowing that someday the family might return, or someone worthy might discover it again. They carefully locked the mansion doors and walked home, feeling proud and happy. The adventure had changed them. They had discovered a secret, respected a family story, and learned valuable lessons about life, courage, and honesty. Aman looked back one last time at the mansion and whispered, "Thank you for trusting us." Ravi nodded. "We will never forget this story." Both boys smiled, knowing that their lives had been touched by something incredible. The Lamborghini Huracán was not just a car, and the mansion was not just a building. Together, they told a story of courage, honesty, and respect that would last forever. As the sun set, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink, Aman and Ravi walked home slowly. They talked about the adventure, laughed about their excitement, and promised each other that they would always treasure this memory. The mansion and the Lamborghini had given them more than a discovery. They had given them an unforgettable story, a lesson in life, and a bond that would never be broken. And so, the mansion stood quietly on the hill, the Lamborghini Huracán shining in the garden, waiting silently for anyone who was brave, honest, and curious enough to uncover its story again. Aman and Ravi had finished their adventure, but the story of the mansion and the Lamborghini would live on forever in their hearts.